Pill Dispensary. Alright, so you guys might be a little bit surprised by the title, but I'll show you where I got this and what I mean by it. So let's look into it. So first, this is who we're talking about. I don't know if you guys, a lot of you guys know him by name, but just in case you do not know him by name, I'm pretty sure you know him by face. If you've watched any of the task force, he's basically like the doctor. There's a little bit about him. He is the head of the NIH, I believe. I believe he's the head of the NIH. And let's see. But you look at this. So he assumed office November 2nd in 84. He's the director, of the NIH, which is the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. So is that NIH? Is that something different? So he's the director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. It looks like he was appointed by Reagan, also served under both Bushes, Clinton, Obama. So he served under them all. And it looks like, they all kept him in place. It must be for a reason. But I'm going to show you why I am concerned. Okay, so bang. So I tweeted this out. And by the way, I just want to give credit where credit's due. This was found by Montagraph. He has a YouTube channel. Check him out. I mean, he's like, as I put here, check this out, guys. Unbelievable. And found by one of the YouTubers. Oh, I meant the YouTubers I respect most. A truther OG. Still dropping red pills. I've been watching him forever. He's amazing. Montagraph. So, he put it out under his Twitter account. And let's check it out. So, Fauci, no doubt Trump will face surprise infectious disease outbreak. He's not saying, there's a good chance, because they do say like every 100 years, like, and a lot of times they say like even like to the year, almost every 100 years, you have a natural outbreak that it's kind of like nature's way of basically kind of taking out the weak and the old, or it's kind of like what's it called, because I don't believe in it, this particular thing, but there is an aspect of it I believe in, the evolution, it's like survival of the fittest. What is it called? Someone could put it in chat, although I can't see the chat right now. But basically, selective, anyways, nature, it's natural selection or natural, something like that. I can't believe I can't think of it. But ever since that car accident, I'm telling you, I can't think of the most obvious stuff sometimes. So now, mind you, what I want you to look at here is the date, January 11th. So on 1/1/2017, he said that, and it says here, Anthony S. Fauci, I believe it's pronounced, MD, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said there is, he didn't say, a great chance, and I can see him saying that because especially someone in his position understands that nature does this every 100 years or so. And, well, if the last one was the Spanish flu in 1918, that means we're 2 years overdue. But I could see us being overdue a bit with technology, and you know what? It seems like nature has been trying to do that with some of these other viruses that have come out of nowhere, that were more deadly if you got them, but not as infectious as far as the R0 number, or how quick it spreads. That's what really makes this deadly. That, along with the incubation period. But I think there's some hope. Trump was just talking. If you want to check it out, Fox 10, you can check that out. All right, so he said there's no doubt Donald J. Trump will be confronted with the surprise infectious disease outbreak during his presidency. And then he also goes on to say, Fauci said these are the highlighted points, said the Trump administration will not only be challenged by ongoing global health threats such as influenza and HIV, but also, he predicts it to a T, but also a surprise disease outbreak. Now, somebody could maybe guess that, but because of some things that have come up in the past, but he says it with such certainty. And I just want to show you one thing Q said. Let's see here. Okay. Guys, I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. But, I was kind of aggravated because somebody tied up the computer, and yeah, what they're doing is important, and this just came to my attention on Twitter, and I found this fascinating. So so I know where I left off. I know trying to reconnect. Is there a problem? All right, we're good. Multi-screen? Well, yeah. But as soon as I go here, it should be fine. You guys should be able to see. All right. So again, I already mentioned that he's basically been there for all these presidents since Reagan. And they've kept him in place, which happens a lot when it comes to positions such as like a scientist position. That's not uncommon. A little bit more about him. He's known for HIV and progression to AIDS, so he's done well in that field because, although there is the strand of HIV is within the Charlie Victor 19 virus, and trying to see anything else very interesting. I want to see where he went to college. I'm very curious about that. Where did he go to College of the Holy Cross in Cornell? And it's funny because I always use Cornell because something very interesting, guys. When you guys see an executive order, if you ever heard of Strong's Concordance, run that EO 4-digit number, and sometimes the 2-digit number, like the section, or it's the U.S. code of the EO, executive order. And without fail, every single time that I've thought to do it, it fits the executive order to a T. And that just doesn't go for executive orders. It's also been other situations where you can see like a 4-digit number, like it's almost like purposely being put out. When you look it up, it will apply. If everything's good with the stream, I could even show you guys an example of that I just found today when someone sent me an EO that Trump put on plates. Alright, so you guys can see me. All is good. Alright, good. Now, once again, back to the tweet, because I just want to do it again, just so that maybe I could just, okay. So, bang. So, if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, it's amazing. It's like randomly, it's like 20 to 25 people per day follow me on Twitter. And they're not following me because of, this channel, or else I would have subscribers at that rate. But then again, I'm pretty sure that they make sure that I'm not seen as much. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the stuff I tweet. Twitter seems to be less controlled in that way. But no, not that one. That's my... Okay. That was a decode I made. Pretty interesting one. Okay, so check this out, guys. Unbelievable. And by the way, this was found by Montagraph. If you guys want to check him out, he's like a great YouTuber. I've watched him for years and years and years. And I always said Anthony Patch was the first YouTuber I watched religiously. But actually, you know what? I watched Montagraph before Anthony Patch, now that I think of it. So actually, I guess it would be Montagraph. But he's amazing. This is his Twitter, October Reigns. He's always dropping amazing red pills. And I couldn't, when I saw this, and when it's coming from him, I know that he's done the research. I can basically trust it. And he puts here, oh look, what /11. And then it talks about hashtag pandemic. Here is the archive. And he puts the link. And yeah, so he says, no doubt Donald J. Trump will be confronted with the surprise infectious disease outbreak during his presidency. Dr. Fauci said the Trump administration will not only be challenged by ongoing global health threats such as influenza and HIV, but also a surprise disease outbreak. I mean, he says it with such certainty. I mean, as it says at the top, no doubt. Now, I could see a scientist, especially in infectious disease, say that, as I said before, because of the fact that okay, just making sure everything's still good. Because of the fact that basically, these these pandemics, what they say is every 100 years is like this natural selection, and natural outbreak happens every 100 years, and it kind of thins the herd, and it's probably done humanity well over time. I don't believe in what's it called? Man, my head. I don't believe in evolution, but I think there is something to these diseases happening supposedly every 100 years. And with technology, I think that we've fought off the diseases that really would have done to us what the Spanish flu did to us before that. Well, a couple hundred, bubonic plague, but all these plagues, and they're natural. But the way that this is happening, I think it's man-made, and I'm not the only one. Let me show you. So, okay, yeah. So I'm not the only one, by the way. So, as I've let you guys know, Q is back. By the way, between 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4, at least those 4, a lot of decodes within those when you look at the times and dates. It's pretty interesting what you find out once you start adding, subtracting, finding the medians of the times. He seemed to be always posting at the 1300 hour, like many posts in a row until that last one about do not fear. And then also I found a lot in that YouTube video in the description. When you look into the music, there's a lot of interesting, you can just tell, as a former cryptologist, you can just tell, like if there's a pattern, you see the pattern. And then also, when there's a picture on a Q post, the picture always has a name. And the names are always very interesting. Like, let's see. Let's get one, for instance. Yeah. Well, where are those ones? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Check this out. Like, for instance, because March 15th was really the big day. That was the day when some executive orders and acts went into effect, and they caused it. If you guys saw the podium, the way the podium has changed since then, and there's something to that. The executive seal on the podium, that is actually a symbol of the corporation of the United States of America's executive branch. That's what that would represent. And then in the background, while I'm telling you, I should be showing you. And then in the background, you'll also see. Sorry guys. Let me see. Okay. And then in the background, you'll also see that people have called it like the flag of the UN. I wasn't aware of that. I know it has like the name of it is like a Latin name. I got it here somewhere. I know I put it on. It's I must have put it on. Yeah. So this is prior to March 15th. So whether it be Obama or anytime you see the president in this room where they do the press conferences or is doing an announcement from there, you have the seal, you have, at the very least, especially in this room, the American flag, and then this other flag back here. I know the name of it. It's like this, it's a Latin, it's like a plurb, something, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's like a Latin phrase. A Latin phrase represents that UN flag. And by the way, if it's choppy, it's because I'm on my phone. I really wanted to do this on my computer, but I didn't have the choice, unfortunately. But I just wanted to get this information out. But since March 15th, we have the White House, Washington, so you don't have that executive seal. And that flag that supposedly represents like the UN is gone. The only thing that still exists that I'm not a fan of, because I want a free sovereign nation, is the gold fringe on the American flag. And as it says at the top, once that gold fringe is gone, that's when so that would represent like I know that does also represent like admiralty law, maritime law. We went over some of that in that part 1. By the way, sorry guys, I haven't even done the part 2 yet. I've just not had a chance, and it's a long video. I need 5 hours to do it. So, I don't know if I'll break it into maybe 3 parts and make it like a 2.5 hour videos. That way it's more consumable. Maybe even if I can shorten it down to like 4 hours. So there is, and just so you know, this isn't just on March 15th. It's been ever since March 15th. Every single day since March 15th, that is the way it is. The White House with just the one American flag, which still has the gold fringe for admiralty law. Whereas before, this is the setup we've grown used to, that second flag and this corporate seal. Just so you guys know, we became a corporation back in, it was either 1870 or 1877. I think it was 1870. And then we lost the Federal Reserve, because I know we became a corporation. We were having a rough time after the Civil War. We needed help. And, you know, it's always these bankers. And again, these bankers moved in, I believe the date was 1913 or 1917. Let me look it up. Let's look it up. Well, here's the Strong's Concordance, by the way. I was just looking up his last EO. It applies exactly. I might even show you guys that too. It's pretty interesting. So anyway, I just want to make sure I'm giving the right I just want to make sure. I know it's all in that video, but so 1871. So I was off again. I said 1870. So 1871 is when we became a corporation. Now, I know a lot of you guys, especially if you didn't see my video, like I was really trying to stress people to see it, because that video is great, and there's a lot in that video that you need to know in order to really kind of understand part 2. So anyways, that 1871 we did become a corporation. But then the Federal Reserve, however, was still ours, as most the large majority of Americans just assume that the Fed is, you know, just like another part of our government, that, you know, maybe the reason Trump is kind of going at them is to, you know, because they're in a different branch or they're independent. And they are, in fact, independent, but they're not owned by the U.S. Federal Reserve sold in... I'm pretty sure it's either like either 1913, 1917, or 1930. It's one of those, but just right now, my 1913 is what. Okay, so that's what I said. 1913 is when the Federal Reserve. But if you look at this, December 23rd, 1913. When President Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act into law, it stood as a classic example of compromise, a decentralized central bank that balanced the competing interests of private banks and popular sentiment. So, I mean, that's a really kind of like smooth way of popular sentiment. I don't know about that part, but yeah, this is when, like it says, private banks, which are owned by individuals, and it was the Rothschilds, I believe. But I did see. Let me see. Yeah, it's the London branch of the House of Rothschild. So, like, in a weird way, England, even though we won our independence, we almost kind of gave it back by letting their London branch. And if you guys don't know the story of the Rothschild, there was a Rothschild who sent his sons to like the five big, like the corners of Europe, and they started banks that eventually really became the banks of those countries, and especially London, because there was a war with them in France, I believe, and back then, you know, it took time for information to travel, but you know, the Rothschilds back then still were so powerful that they found out before the government or before the monarchy. And they went around to all the people who held notes for land, and they told them all that France had won, when indeed that was not the case. So they all sold their bonds and notes, or whatever they called them, and they were all bought up. They bought them all, and all of a sudden they basically owned England. And the Queen, but then, so anyway, so that is why you might hear sometimes that we're not actually free of England. We still won our independence, and we were free for a time. But it looks like 95 years later, oh, I'm sorry, no, much later than that, but 95 years later we became a corporation. But, like 100 and something years later, basically we were bought. Our Federal Reserve was bought. And if someone owns our Federal Reserve, well, that kind of tells the story. And people think that the Queen is just, for show and all that. And it's really the Prime Minister that runs it. But there's treaties in place that still, to this day, are, they are actually what is followed at the upper echelons, the elites of the elites of the elites. And really, the England still somewhat has these colonies. They just in a different way. The commander-in-chief of Canada, Australia, New Zealand. What's the other one? Is this South Africa one of them? I think there's a different situation with South Africa. All those places. She in Canada. I think I said Canada, and Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, it's basically when they talk about how the FISA, they didn't just use a FISA on Trump, by the way. Also Cruz. Well, anyways, the FISA is the Five Eyes, and through the Five Eyes, that's a way of kind of getting around some of our rights, and you just have MI6 do the spying instead of ourselves. Although we did do a lot of spying because we had these judges approve them, and these judges are very angry right now, or at least they have to pretend to be angry at the very least. Now, what else did I say I wanted to show you guys? Oh yeah, EO, right? So check it out. I haven't shown you guys this yet. This is something different, but it's pretty interesting. So this guy, Farrell, he says Spygate could make Watergate look like a third-rate burglary. And I think that's 100% the case. Because of Q, I already know exactly that's what I wanted to show you. What's Q saying lately. Okay, let's get into that. Also, there's this. So anyway, I wanted to show you this first. So check this out. For instance, this picture. This picture eventually, you see this, but there's double meanings. But this picture eventually showed you the date and time that something was going to occur. And sure enough, here it says 3:15. There's another watch that you'll see that says 3:42. And then look at what it says. So, first of all, this is first put out on January 5th at 5:19:44 seconds. The image 2616. I did actually figure something out with that, but I can't think of it right now. But it's more so the other one. But look, it says, will POTUS be at, that's Camp David tomorrow? 1 year Delta. Well, 1 year later, what happens? All of a sudden, these acts and EOs are pushed through, and now it seems like we are maybe. I guess we're no longer a corporation. We're sovereign. Or, it seems like there's still some ties to be cut, but I think that's kind of what's going on right now. And I was thinking that all along, I've known, as you guys know, if you guys have been watching me, that this coronavirus is legit, right? But I knew that there was things going on because it was man-made, and whoever did it had a plan. I also believed wholeheartedly that that they would use this. They never waste a disaster. And honestly, that goes for both sides. That goes for, the deep state type that want to create this new world order, which they already basically kind of had in place as far as the banks go. But you look at it, matters of national security, the clock is ticking. Follow the watch, which I did. So 3:15. Now I'll show you. But if you look, what they're actually doing here is they're showing you the other watch and just re-showing you this one. So the first post was on January 5th. And by the way, that 1-5 comes into play a bunch. Not just the fact of March 15th, but I put my decode up. I'll have to do a whole video on it, but I'll go through it and show you guys. But anyway, so I don't know. It's just obvious when there's certain patterns. It's just obvious. Like boom, here's one. Look, just the name. Look at the name of the picture. That's what I'm showing you. The dot JPG or PNG. Look at this. TT. Right? You apply numerical value, and this is how you do a lot of the. It's pretty simple stuff when it comes to cryptology. Very simple. It's like numerology almost. The TT comes out to 2020. So that's interesting because they're giving you a date and time. Everyone at the time is thinking it was coming. It was coming up. They're thinking. I don't even know what I forget what the rumors were back then, but there was all kinds of rumors. They thought it was coming last year, even though it says minus 1 year delta. I think they just thought that meant, from the prior year, something had gone on. And sometimes, like I said, people marry their ideas. I try not to. But, and here you got the 3:15 again on March 15th. I mean, he's basically just telling you. Marker 1 complete. And also, there's been a series of markers. And those markers are very important. And I believe that we're at and I don't believe, according to Q, this is it. We're right at the end here. And also, just so you know, there's some stuff up here, like, you see all that. The Dory. If you put numerical values, it's interesting. Well, first of all, if you don't put numerical value, you have something like a Dory 30 or something like that, a Dory 30, a Dory 30, something. But you have QWW, worldwide. And then you have the AE1, which happens to be the name of a antibody that is connected to one of the drugs that they're talking about might be a treatment, oddly enough. Could be a total coincidence, but I don't think so, because then you have the JIZ, and that JIZ, when you put numerical value to that, J would be 10, I would be 9, and Z would be 26. Now, this is from last year. Now, mind you, on March 15th this year, the seal went away, The corporate seal went away. The UN flag went away. Okay. Then you start looking at these pictures. You have everyone's thinking it was coming up. Everyone thought that something was going to happen that day. It was coming up, but really in reality, you look at right here in this one, AE1. If you guys gotta look up AE and it's really AE-1. So, but then again, we do have a -1 in here, like a 1 year delta, or does it say minus? No, it doesn't say minus. But it's very interesting. AE1. You'll come across something else that's named AE1, but there is it is the name of an antibody, AE1 and AE2. And there's some promise with those as far as helping with this virus, which is really weird because when you'll see what I mean when I show you the newer Q posts. It almost looks like this stuff was not planned, but you know, a last ditch effort that is actually pretty successful. And he basically goes over the same exact stuff that I've told you in a video like 2 weeks ago. But so Q doesn't really give too much. It's stuff that I've already figured out, and it's pretty easy to figure out. But anyways, so the JIZ, like I said, it comes out to, what did we say? So JIZ. Okay. So JIZ. J is 10, I is 9, Z is 26. This is that night I was doing all the decodes, right? So I was figuring all that. I found the antibody, so I'm like, that means this JIZ must go together. So I come up with this, right? I didn't even think of a zip code yet. I should have, but I didn't. I mean, at this point, I've been up all night. And then, boom, I realized, boom, zip code in New York. And I know this area. And I know where it is. It's like up, just you know, like Hudson Valley, like up north of the city. Like just north of New Rochelle, right? Well, I started looking into it. So basically, it's like it's Woodbury, New York, Harriman, New York. You see Harriman, New York here. Here it is on the map. So this is that JIZ in numerical value. It's very simple. It's just you know, which anything with Q, once it's figured out, you look back on it, it's like, oh, that was so simple. It's just figuring it out, you know. So it comes out to this area here, right? Got some outlets up there. Not much. Pretty rural, right? Pretty rural. Yet, check this out. So it was Harriman, New York is what came up, right? Harriman, New York. Well, let's Google that. Let's see what's going on in Harriman. Because, like I said, all of this seems to be applying to March 15th, meaning like right now, the March 15th that just went by, either exactly on that date, or starting on that day or something, or just, you know, this is all applying to this time period that we're in. So Harriman, that was it, right? Well, it'll correct it if not. Harriman, New York. Let's look through some of the news. Look, it's nice. One of the best places. Oh, I thought I said one of the best places. Okay. Huh, right? Hold on. I'm sorry. You know why? Maybe because I'm on Google. Is it not Harriman? I know it's in this 1096. Let me see. Maybe it's a different one. You know what? It might be Harriman, Army, Navy. Yeah, you know what? I got it. All right. I'll just type it right in, and you guys will see what I mean. Maybe it was that other one, Woodbury. But I'm gonna put I'll just tell you guys right now. That's where they put a testing site, and it's the biggest testing site in New York, which happens to be by far the hardest hit. You know what? I don't think. I think it was the other. I think it was Woodbury, Harriman and Woodbury. But it's the same. Let me make sure that we're talking about coronavirus. Sorry, guys, I wasn't even planning on doing this, but trust me, it all makes sense. I just gotta get it up. I want to see New York. Oh, I didn't put New York because it might. I forget what. You know what? I don't think they go by a city. I think they go by you know what? I think it's actually a state park or something like that. So there's one actually in New Rochelle, but the biggest one. I want to see a map of them. Let me see this. No, that's actually in New Rochelle, which makes sense. But this is like really making me upset. But trust me, it checks 100%. Why don't I just put the zip and the testing site in Corona? Okay, so 10/9/26. You know, coronavirus isn't accurate. Let me. Did I put New York? Yes. Okay, I should get it right now. All right. Make sure it's Why are they giving lists everywhere but New York? I'm wasting a lot of time. You know, I didn't plan on doing this, but Am I doing the numbers wrong? J is 10, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. That's it. And New Rochelle. Is this only for New Rochelle? This is actually in New Rochelle. I'm talking about the other one. There's another one. It's actually the biggest one. Come on, Long Island. You gotta be kidding me. Why is this like unfindable now? All right, you know what, guys? I'm gonna have to get back to you when I'm more prepared. It should just come right up though, because I got the zip and everything. I mean, that should make it come right up. You know what? Actually, I'm pretty sure. I already put out the information I need. This part of it, sorry, I know I'm accurate. I know I didn't drain this. The code and everything. Oh yeah, this is how ridiculous. Look at these guys. You know, I was talking about how in society everyone's so me, and it's not about we like it used to be. Only 10 years ago it was like that. 10, 15 years. By the way, this guy's great. You guys want some like accurate. And listen, I think that the virus is real. I know, but I just think it was planned. I think it was planned by either China or deep state. It makes more sense, deep state. Then of course the 322, and then okay, here's some of the code stuff. Also on March 15th. This is the one I want. Also on March 15th, by the way. And we all know the Q said then, do not fear. Well, on March 15th, this is why I should be on the computer. I wouldn't be having so much trouble. Okay, on March 15th, Pompeo. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. So that's, and he put Sunday scripture. But that was on March 15th, which is this big day when a lot changed, and they were pointing to it ever since last year. Ever since January 5th of last year. And then again, they started pointing to it again in March when they knew it was 1 year away. And it's really, it's odd. And it seems like the deep state knew too, which is why I think what happened. So let me see. Okay, so look. Zip of biggest. See this right there? Do you guys see? Do you see? I see the link, the blue link. Right before that. Put together, you have 10,926. Zip of biggest COVID-19 test site. I also have a lot of other decoding here. It's like crazy stuff. I spent a long time. These are pictures. And then I found the median. And then when you go to the video from Do Not Fear, you'll find it'll like specifically says you're already in the description, but it says make sure to look at the description. And all there is other than that is basically like the company. And then you come across this 209, which does come up again later in another way, but sure enough, in between, the God wins, and then when he reposts God wins, when you look at the time that he puts it out, the difference between the third and the second one is exactly 2 minutes and 9 seconds, which is then again referenced in No Fear in two different ways. So a lot of stuff that isn't coincidence, and the number that keeps coming up, like when you find the median of all those posts, by the way, it comes out to let me see, where's the median? The median of all 4 points is 1532.20, but I dropped the 0. You get your 322 for skull and bones, and again you're left with 15. It's just the 15 is constant. There's something to it. The 1-5, January 5th is when they first. That's 1-5. It just constantly happens. But anyways, so here's the zip, and then here's the actual article. I'm telling you, Google's no good. They like know what to hide. Like they like know when you find something. So look at this. It's a little city smack in the middle of Harriman State Park, and right, wasn't that it? Harriman? Yeah, that's it. This is it. Harriman. COVID-19 drive-through testing facility opens in Hudson Valley. This is on March 19th. It took a little city smack in the middle of Harriman State Park. It only took a couple of days to build. New York State's largest drive-through COVID-19. And you guys saw how long I searched. I used the zip of Harriman. I used all this. I even used a different town next to it. I did coronavirus. I tried COVID-19. I put in New York. Yeah, it's telling me about stuff in New Jersey and Long Island. And when it's all right here. This should be the first thing that popped up. And you know what? I think I was on my computer, so I was using DuckDuckGo. So this popped up right away. Whereas on Google, it doesn't. Even though about 2 weeks ago, it seemed like they loosened the Google a bit. Because all of a sudden, things were coming up that wouldn't come up before. And there was a couple things I know would not come up before that was coming up. So that was curious. And the only reason I even had a thought to look was some kind of something that somebody figured out on the Cham boards, and I tested it, and I ended up seeing that it was true. And he actually put exactly what things to search that will prove it that weren't there before. Anyway, so yeah, I was right. So anyways, after all that, yes, that picture, you have the Q, then the WW Worldwide. You guys can rewind that, and if you want, fast forward through me using Google like an idiot, but I'm on the phone. And then it goes to the AE1s, the antibody. But also, it's not. I didn't take it just as that, because maybe it's not. Maybe that's just a coincidence. What it also comes out to, AE. Remember, you put a number to it. What's that? 15, right? So it's 15. The AE comes out. There we go. The 15 again, right? So it's very interesting. It's very interesting how I'm telling you, this decode blew my mind. I tried to put it out, and the first response I got was WTF. Like, it makes no sense. It looks like a scatterbrain, which it was. But yeah, so it took a couple days to build. It's New York State's largest drive-through, and this is as of March 19th. But now, if you look, all that, if I try to search, I'll put in the zip, I'll put in Harriman, I'll put COVID-19, testing site, all that, and the only thing that will come up in New York is what's in Long Island and this one in New Rochelle, which is critical. And maybe the one in New Rochelle was built since March 19th, since they only take a couple days to build. That's possible too. I could check on that. At least 500 people were swabbed by midday Thursday. And so they'd be talking about, last week Thursday. according to a public information officer on site. Officials told Spectrum News hundreds of state workers and recently activated National Guard members. And by the way, guys, there's a difference between the way the National Guard was activated with Section 32. And when he made the announcement, he had only made it for 2 states at the time. It was New York and Washington. And he said he would be working on the California and signing one for California as well. And he'd be doing it, it was already late. It was already like 6 p.m. So he's like, maybe tonight, most likely tonight, if not in the morning, he'd be doing it for California. So at that time, and, this is the day after 3-2. Again, you had a 3-2-2, like the Skull and Bone reference. The Article 32 with 2 states. I don't know. The things that, I noticed, but I haven't put out there. I texted it to a couple people, but, so let's see what else. Anything else sticks out. So the owner of Pierce Food Mart in Orange County said staff with close contact 100 people each day, and the ability to finally get his employees tested gives him peace of mind. And you know what? There's one thing the media has been saying. There was like a fair interview. If you want to see it, it's on Fox 10. Like that Fox 10 Phoenix. They get every rally. Every time the president speaks, they're there. So, kudos to Fox 10 in Phoenix, because they do it all on YouTube. They obviously do it in Phoenix as well. But it's a great station, and there was an interview on Fox 10. I don't think it was actually Fox 10 doing the interview, but you can watch it there. That's where I watched it. And, they're some fair questions. And, they say, hey, you did shut down the borders, earlier, and everyone criticized you then, but you saved a bunch of lives. But there is a problem, and I agree with this, the lack of testing. If you're only testing people that get sick, well, okay, that allows them to, maybe even if they're young, 3 weeks, up to 3 weeks, of them walking around infecting people. What you need to do is what South Korea did. And by the way, South Korea has a scientist. I think it's actually like a requirement. There's a scientist within every single business that they have. You have to have a scientist there for some. It's a weird thing, but it's true, and it maybe makes sense why they were ready. They had so many tests ready, and they were able to do mass testing. Now they weren't these. The tests weren't as exact as the tests we're doing, but they're swabs, and it's enough to find out where the problem areas are. Take them, quarantine them. And just by the swabs, you could use AI, you could use a lot of different things to narrow down where you got to put your resources, which is what we're doing. But we haven't done any mass tests, unless they have some type of technology that's testing us right now through 5G or something. I don't think so. So the South Korea model is really the one that I think is best. And I think, but the reason that they're saying it's not, it's not required, only if you're sick. My mother works in a medical office, and you know what they told her? Well, someone's very sick. They don't know if it's that, but she got the test. They're waiting on the results, and their boss told them, "Oh, even if the test comes back positive, you all have to come back to work, even though they are sitting with this person all day, every day." And they got sick, and they're home now. And they're saying to my mother, "You have to still come in, even though you were sitting next to someone who was sick." Which means if my mother did get sick, she'll start showing symptoms in about anywhere from 4 to 7 days, most likely. I mean, I'm saying it pretty precise, but that's assuming that she got it late. It's anywhere from now to 7 days, most likely. She would start showing the symptoms, and that would represent day 7 to day 14 if she was quarantined. But yeah, he's saying no, nobody's gonna be quarantined, even though a few weeks ago he said if we have any cases that end up coming in here, not only us but the whole building has to shut down, which is what I hear everywhere else. But I can't believe it, But I'm gonna keep that on the hush for now. I'll really start making a big scene if that test comes back positive. And by the way, I actually do know of somebody that I know personally that has it. It's a distant person that I haven't seen in many years, but their cousin is somebody I see all the time. And I talk to their cousin all the time. And, I know that they're alive. It's not some conspiracy. And they got it. So, for the people saying that, like, it's just like a total hoax, no, it's not. It's not. It's real. It's real. My whole thing is, what's going on? What is the reason behind it? Because what I do know, and now we are going to go to Q. So anyways, I showed you all that stuff. So now we're going to get into the new Q. All right, the new Q. Because before once I figured out before with Q, in respects to Q, that what he's talking about, it could be a year from now or a month from now. You don't know if it's, or sometimes he really was talking about the current events. Let me see. So anyways, let me get rid of that. Let's check out the current posts. I think there was like 3. Or 3 since, if you didn't see it, 3 since the do not fear one. Okay, so unless there was more. Alright, so we have the God wins. This is where all the code came from. Oh, by the way, this is the line I found interesting, only because there is this YouTuber. I'm not even gonna say his name because it's I think it's bullshit, probably, only because like there's some things that blow my mind about this YouTuber that makes some crazy claims. And as somebody who had a top secret clearance, I knew when he was claiming a certain thing and he showed his badge, I knew it was the wrong color. And that's what I wrote to him. I said, hey, I made a comment on the video, and he's making big claims. And I said, hey, why, if that's the case, and I'm trying to keep an open mind, just so you know, why do you have the wrong color badge in respects to your clearance? If that is in fact what you say, because that would require a certain type of badge. And I know what that badge is because I had it at one point, and I know what it is. So why don't you? He shows his badge, almost like to show that he's part of this place, but the clearance doesn't match what he's claiming. So I'm not going to tell you his name, but this is the one thing that is interesting. Back channels are important when the news itself is untrustworthy, controlled. Now it's controlled in a kill box. It almost came to my mind like, are they talking about this guy? But most likely what that is just, it's talking about Twitter. The fact that the president gets information to us on Twitter. Sometimes it's plain English and it just makes sense. It's like, well, they were saying this last year. And it's almost like there's so many instances where it's like if he does one thing, the media will basically say, oh, well, you're doing that. Well, what about this? But if he was to do the other thing instead, go the other direction, they would say, how could you do that when this? I mean, you guys know how it is. I mean, he's accomplished so much, and I don't think they've ever said anything positive about him. Ever. Ever. So it's so obvious what's the deal with the media, who's running it. It's pretty sad. And what blew my mind too is we know with the Smith-Mundt Act from 2011 that Obama signed, there used to be a law against propaganda, and then all of a sudden they lifted it, meaning that now they can have government propaganda, the U.S., ever since 2011, by the way, which is about the time that the technologies really started to take off, and really like all this social media, and maybe that's the way they use it, is through social media, and a lot of propaganda that way. And they blame it on the Russians. And by the way, that Russian company, they got found not guilty with prejudice last week. And with prejudice means like, yeah, they're not guilty, and it's not like, lack of evidence. It's like, we know for a fact, like the judge is like, I know. That's what with prejudice means. Like, it's a stronger, like it's one thing to say not guilty or dismissed, but if it's with prejudice, there's something the judge finds out that proves it was all BS. So there goes the Russia, and the whole Mueller. That was all of Mueller's report, by the way, this company. And all those years. I mean, I was talking to somebody who I remember telling me, oh, wait, you just wait, Mueller. And I'm like, you're an idiot. And of course, he was an idiot. And I remind him that he's an idiot all the time. And, it's just for those people. And then to now let the DNC literally set you up and set up your, Bernie was their guy. The other guys, you can just tell who's the establishment people. Just look where the money is. They try to make it sound like Biden wasn't an establishment guy. What? He was the vice president for Obama. How can you say that? They're like, he was broke. He had no money. Well, he had no money because they stopped donating to him because he's not a legit candidate. There's no way he should ever be president, and there's no reason anyone should vote for him. I don't understand how that many people voted for him. But I guess they were just like, well, it's down to him and Bernie. Why not vote for Tulsi Gabbard? I mean, she's always been my favorite Democrat of all of them. But I guess they just didn't want they were really worried about the socialism. And, I would be too. But, at least Bernie's like authentic. And I don't know. They talk about civil rights. Bernie was friggin' marching next to these people back in the day, next to Martin Luther King. That was Bernie with his crazy hair, Jufro thing going. I mean, he really lived that. I respect that. That he really he's legit. And these Democrats, after being let down with the Hillary and all these emails coming out, finding out how corrupt she was, and then in this election, since this election, since Trump's presidency, being lied to by the media over and over, and having all, they're so sure about Russia, they're so sure about Mueller, then they're so sure about this impeachment, they're so sure about the Kavanaugh thing, all these things that blew up in their face. They've been, talking all this crap about Q even, I'll throw in there. When Q, if you actually follow him and really, honestly try to look at the information, You will be amazed over and over and over. It's legit. That's not a question. The only question is it a psyop where like AI's running it, or even some type of quantum computer? Because this whole future proves past, and this is actually something that, the guy who I think is a phony, but there's some stuff that's kind of the thing with the badge, that guy. Well, he even made a point. He goes, well, think of it like this: the posts are actually really from the future. It's like, what? It's like technically they're from the future or something because of quantum mechanics. Something like the D wave would be capable of this. Because I know it was already at 2048 and then it doubled to 4096, but they claimed it was still 2090. But everyone knew it was at 4096. But then there was rumor that it even doubled from there, from 4096, which would make it, so what would that be? Oh my God, 4096. So then you're talking like I'm sorry, 1082 or 1092. Something I don't know in my head. I can't like do the math right now. Like usually I can do math very quick. What did I say? So 496. Because what happens with quantum computer, like the D wave, the qubits, it doubles each time that they make an advancement and they come out with this new form of the D wave. And already, once you hit 4096, you've already made, like I said a few times to you guys, cryptology and things like that, these secure communications, obsolete. They'll break the code instantly, and then they'll create code that can't be broken unless you have another D wave as well. And in fact, when you think of it, instead of thinking of breaking the code, my mind would think, you really just think of communication. They can communicate 100% secure. No way it can be broken unless someone else has a quantum computer. So it's pretty interesting, and it actually proves this parallel dimensions. It just the fact that quantum mechanics it works. It proves quantum mechanics, and we already know that time and space, and you can bend time, and so who knows with the technology now, guys. What we see, what is actually introduced to us that we see, and we all, like I said, if you've been watching my channel, there was a breakthrough in quantum mechanics. I might even go over that in a minute. All right, but first, so since the do not fear, this is what we got. And I've already made all these points in a video, so I forget which video, but this might sound familiar. But anyways, here's like an actual document though from 2007. It's about SARS. But really, I mean, like SARS is a coronavirus. You know what I mean? The coronavirus is an accurate way to describe what's going on. This is they call it COVID-19 now. I don't even want to say this, but really it's the Wu-Tang instead of the city. I'll just say the Wu-Tang strand. That was the name of it. Everyone called it that. But now Trump is racist for calling it the Chinese. Anyways, so in here we have, severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus as an emerging and re-emerging infection. And this person was right on. Who wrote this? Vincent C. Chang, Susanna K. P. Lau. Oh no, Susanna K. Oh, I'm sorry. Vincent C. Chang, Susanna K. P. Lau, Patrick C. R0THCH1LDS. A lot of Chinese and looks like even Korean names, although Lao, I think that's more like Vietnamese. But yeah, so anyways, what's highlighted here is the presence of a large reservoir of SARS-CoV. That means, I don't have to say it. You guys know what that means. Like viruses in horseshoe bats, together with the culture of eating exotic mammals in southern China, is a time bomb. So they already knew. They already knew that there was, China knew. All right? Look at a lot of those names. China knew that they were playing with fire, having these types of markets. I mean, it's common sense. Some of the things they have, I mean, you have like a ferret with friggin' this crazy type of bird on top of it, and then rats at the bottom. It's like it could go, you know what I mean? Those three together can give you the craziest viruses, and you put them all together. It'll just spread from one to the other. I mean, it's unbelievable, especially for a place where they have so much control over the people. I'm telling you. And then the fact that, and then I've already showed you the map where the Institute of Virology is 1 mile away. Their lab is 1 mile away from the other direction. It's so obvious. And then a market that has exotic animals where all these diseases end up coming from. So the China virus. And then he goes, worth remembering. And I'm just going to show you this for a second. So Vice President Mike Pence remarks on the administration's policy. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. But it was put out by the Hudson Institute. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that really sticks out here. It was on October 4th, 2018. All right. So if you guys want to listen to that, I bet you probably hear some prophetic sounding stuff. I'm just guessing. I didn't even listen to the whole thing yet. Then you got the Wu-Tang Institute of Virology. And then, like I said, he basically goes, I already went over all this stuff with you, but, so then in a kill box, that's what, so geolocation, well, it's 1 mile from the market. Then you have first biosafety level 4 lab, which was the only other lab that holds this type of this level of virus. Level 4 is the Atlanta CDC, to the public's knowledge. There and right here in Wu-Tang, right? So that is the first biosafety level 4 lab, 2015. City, province, origin, hot zone, geolocation. It's extremely populated, and that is part of their culture, having these market with the exotic animals. That happens more so in southern China. I know that much. Okay. And then when this happened, we talked about this as well, because this was on my local news, because I'm here in Boston. Unbeknownst to Harvard University, beginning in 2011, Lieber, he's that guy who was arrested at Logan Airport, along with a supposed Chinese student that was really probably a spy, and they were looking for a second Chinese student, who is also a spy, but he had made it back to China. And he had made it back through, I believe he went up like to like Newfoundland, I believe. It was in Canada, I know that. Or Nova Scotia. Maybe same thing, but I think from there, so he crossed the border to Canada and then went to China. The other, just so you know, he had 2 guys in their 20s that were definitely spies. So unbeknownst to Harvard University, beginning in 2011, Lieber became a strategic scientist at Wu-Tang University of Technology, which, by the way, is also, that's the one that's also in the other direction, besides the lab, in the other direction, not like the total opposite direction, but like, let's say the lab is north. This would be east, 1 mile east of that market. You know, the epicenter where it all started. That is the Wu-Tang University of Technology. You know, kind of like MIT, Massachusetts, you know. And there you go. You have the abbreviation, WUT, in China. And was a contractual participant in China's 1,000 Talents plan from in or about 2012 to 2017. And then in the kill box, rapid spread. Click here. 21. So I think what he's trying to tell us is everybody knows that China fudged the numbers, right? Some of us know that they were incinerating bodies at an alarming rate in multiple locations. So, but 21 million fewer cell phone users in China may suggest a high CCP virus death toll. So basically, this was interesting to me. First of all, I knew that the number was way higher. I didn't think it was 21 million high. I didn't think it was that high, to be honest. Maybe 5 million, 4 million. I didn't think it was 21, but I don't know. When you think about the population, it does make sense a little bit. And it's probably a little bit lower than that. Actually, probably like maybe half of that even. Because, well, first you have to understand. So let me see. How do I go further? Oh, more. Come on. All right, anyways. Okay. In China, you are required to have a cell phone, which is provided by the state, or I don't know if you can buy your own as well, but you're required to have it. And you are also required to use it, every so often. I don't know what their exact laws are. There should be like a link to that here. But you're like required to use the cell phone. You know what? I'm gonna go to another one of my favorite. And guys, these are channels you gotta check out. Montagraph, look, he comes right up, right after Fox 10. But then you have this man, IPOT. All right, In Pursuit of Truth. This guy, if you're into Q, he's amazing, and he makes entertaining videos.
And basically, derailing.
It's not just some boring. So check this out. I'm not gonna play his whole video, but maybe you wouldn't mind if I
the world, because they are an focus for them. But I don't want. You can see on the Googlies, Wuhan Institute of Virology right there, and Wuhan Institute of Technology. They're only 16 minutes away, 9.1 kilometers. I'm sure that's probably just a coincidence.
And right in between them is that market where it supposedly started.
This next link takes you to a document from January 28th from justice.gov. We actually covered this when it came out. This was in regards to corn samples back to China. They've been playing with our intellectual property for quite some time. And if you'll also remember, when President Trump really was kind of new in his presidency, virus may have contributed.
See, somehow he has like the whole article. I don't know why I don't have the whole article.
Okay.
Maybe
cell
it's because I'm
phones
on my
are an
phone.
indispensable part of life in China. The digitization level is very high in China. People can't survive without a cell phone. Tang Jingwan, a U.S.-based China affairs commentator, told the Epoch Times on March 21st, dealing with the government for pensions and Social Security, buying train tickets, shopping, no matter what people want to do, they are required to use cell phones. Okay, I want to stop right there because this is very interesting. So lots of people in China.
Did you hear that? So they're required to use cell phones. It's kind of like a way to almost kind of like keep track of how many people, keep track of people. First of all, you're tracking them, obviously. We know that. That's, if you don't know that you're being tracked with your phone, I mean, but you're tracking them. There's probably many other aspects going on because it's China, what they do, social credit scores, things like that. All kinds of cyber and the type of malware that they're probably spying.
China are using their cell phones less. Why is that? 21 million fewer. They're saying that it could suggest that there's going to be a higher death toll of that. Well, it sounds like they're trying to sell us on the use of the cell phone. Let's check this out.
Yeah, listen to this.
The Chinese regime requires all Chinese to use their cell phones to generate a health code.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Everything else here, is familiar at least. I didn't know that. All this other stuff so far, I've already reported to you guys. But I didn't know that China requires their citizens to not only have a cell phone, and all these companies like Huawei, which maybe you're kind of starting to understand why Trump he banned them, and then he had their CEO arrested in Canada. Well, Canada arrested their CEO, but I'm sure the U.S. had a lot to do with that. And, he banned Huawei. It makes sense. I mean, those types of companies, they're state run, meaning they're run by the government of China. And the fact that people are required to use their cell phones and they have to use them a certain amount of times, like, I don't know if I don't think he says, like, if it has to be once a week or once a month or once every 2 months. I don't know what it is. All I know is that it's supposedly like some kind of health code. So you can almost kind of keep track if somebody's alive. Which, in this case, kind of backfires on them because, it kind of reveals what the real death toll is. Although the reason I said that number, 21 million, that the death toll is a lot less than that, is a lot of Chinese citizens after this experience probably said, screw that. They see Hong Kong, they see what they did. They probably just like, screw that. There's kind of like a rebel. There's a certain faction, I'm sure, in China. I know, actually, that are rebellious towards the government, and they're not going to turn on that phone, especially now. They're not going to make any phone calls from that phone, and when they know what's going on, what the purposes of that phone is and what it's really doing. So it's a little bit more, and again, this is In Pursuit of Truth. This guy is amazing. When it comes to Q, after you check with me, check with him, because he's going to dive just that much deeper. And he has all kinds of great music. You can tell he has worked in the, probably in Hollywood or something. And, he's professional. His thing is like dogs, funny dog, little clips and stuff. It sounds stupid, but the way he does it, it doesn't get in the way of the information. You know, it's good. It's not commercial. It's good. I like it. Anyway, let's see what else.
Oh, I see. So the Chinese regime wants the Chinese to turn on their cell phones, but it sounds like the Chinese aren't listening. Only with a green health code are Chinese allowed to move in China now. It's impossible for a person to cancel his cell phone. China introduced mandatory facial scans on December 1st, 2019 to...
Wow. You're not allowed to turn off your cell phone. Imagine that. And mandatory facial scans. That's why, like, people with their phones and they do the face scan, the voice recognition, the facial recognition, the thumbprint. I've never done any of those. I mean, I don't know. I have the advantage of, you know, at a young age, I was in the military and not exactly doing that type of stuff, but I know enough that, you know, there's certain capabilities that I just don't want to do. I'm not going to, it's just, I'm not going to do that. Although, they'll get it another way. There's a million ways. There's never just one way. There's a million ways that they're going to get it anyway. And they got mine. They got mine, for sure. They got all that stuff. But I still refuse to do it. But these people, I mean, it's like you have to do it in order to even live there. You have to have a green health code. It's pretty crazy.
Confirm the identity of the person who registered the phone. Well, that starts to make a little bit more sense, right? As early as September 1st, 2010, China required all cell phone users to register phones with their real identification system by which the state can control people's speech via its large-scale monitoring system. Okay, so I think you're seeing what we're talking about here, right? Now, let me take you just a...
Like, think about they want to, I mean, that makes it very hard to start a revolution, kind of like what they do in Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong, they have the benefit of, like, a different set of laws because, you know, when Margaret Thatcher went over there and she signed something and they basically did integrate Hong Kong because that was a colony of England. And you know what? Under those rules I was talking about earlier, I bet you they actually no. You know what? I guess they wouldn't be anymore, because of, you know, that what was signed. Except the integration into China wasn't immediate. It would be too much because, you know, they're communists. It was just too much. But they made it like I don't know, like a 25-year plan or a 30-year plan. And now we're approaching that year soon. I forget exactly which year it is, but I think it's like probably 2025, or I'd have to look at what year they that England gave up that colony and have it integrated into China. But it's coming up, like maybe 2025, something like that. And so that younger generation, they're like, screw that. They're used to, you know, certain freedoms. They're not used to this type of stuff. I mean, can you believe this? You have to use the phone. You can't shut it off. You know that it's listening to everything you say, that controlling your speech. If you ever wanted to start a revolution or even just like have a conversation, you know, tell a story about something, you know, you can't, it makes it so you can't say anything. It's almost kind of like, it's a large scale thing of, like, let's say, like what's going on YouTube. The way that they're controlling us. The way I have to say Wu-Tang instead of the name of a friggin' city. You know, that's controlling my speech. Now, it's not anywhere near the level what's going on over there, obviously, but you can see how it can start to become a big problem. You know, I mean, I know that YouTube, they won't recommend me to other, like, people who are not subscribed. Um, you know, basically you have to search and find me if you want to listen to me. If you're subscribed, you'll get me recommended. But yeah, I mean, I seen YouTube mess with all kinds of channels. I saw them mess with a bunch of shit. James Munda, he would always be, and then all of a sudden, you can just see the views. His content was the same, but his views went from 100,000 to 10,000. So, I mean, and they even admit that, especially the type of stuff that I'm talking about right now, they're cutting down on that stuff. And, I have never been one that censors my speech that much. I've actually been very against it. I have given in a little bit lately when it comes to the virus, but it doesn't even matter because there's just the content I'm talking about. The algorithm's going to pick up on it anyway. All right.
Another paragraph forward. Beijing first launched cell phone-based health codes on March 10th. All people in China must install a cell phone app and register their personal health information. Then the app can generate a QR code, which appears in 3 colors, to classify the user's health level. Red means the person has an infectious disease. Yellow means the person might have one. And green means the person doesn't. Okay, well, that gives us a whole new meaning from red to green, right? And it looks like the Chinese state wants their,
I didn't watch this whole video, and I didn't catch that part right there. There is, that's something that, 17 has said many times. Well, I'll just say, I've already said it so many times, that Q has said so many times, is this red to green, or he'll say red to green. I think he just said red to green. Then he also has said, red castle to green castle, which, the Chinese kind of figured out, that would be the activation of the, what is it? The engineer corps, the Army Engineer Corps. They build stuff. If you need them, the president, they'll come in, they'll build things, and I'm telling you, ever since my head with that windshield, it's like I certain things that I definitely know, it escapes me, and then Army Corps Engineer. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, the Army Corps Engineer. So, see, it takes me a while. I'm telling you, that's why I'm gonna be. That's why I got a lawyer. So the Army Corps Engineer. But that's another thing. The whole justice system, that's a whole nother video. I might do a video on the state of the justice system right now. I might do a video on that soon too. Okay, let's continue. So red to green, that can also represent red castle to green castle, which would be the Army Corps Engineer all of a sudden coming in and building something, which has always kind of, to people who are following it, been attributed and was used when they use what was it? I don't know if it was an executive order or a state of emergency. Yeah, state of emergency. State of emergency at the border, which they all were upset about, that he would do that, and they said he kind of was overusing the state of emergency until they saw what the conditions actually were, and the fact that you have children that are with people who aren't really their parents, you know what I mean? So, like, what are you gonna, there's all kinds of child sex trafficking going on, and as we've learned, hey, a lot of our politicians have been in on it for years. This is something that's been going on, and one of the biggest ones, and I believe that he provided the corridor right through Arizona in the Yuma area. People think it's more towards that Tucson area. That's where the veterans on patrol found, and I hate to say it, but some rape trees, these holes in the ground that only a child could fit in, where they would put them down there, and there was a bunch of child toys. Very sad thing if you want to look it up. And by the way, this was on the property of a cement company called Cemex. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but these things are just coming to my mind, and I know that you guys would be interested to know if you don't know. So came up with a company, Cemex, who of course contributes to the Clinton Foundation, all that. Jeffrey. Oh, I'm back for a second. They shut me down. But no, that was a battery issue. I thought they shut me down. And Brian Wilson, that was going to be the next word out of my mouth. So guess who? Not only were the Rothschilds part of Cemex, but this all took place in Tucson, Arizona, right? Now, the leader of Veterans on Patrol, I haven't made up my mind if they just did a smear campaign on him, or he really was kind of like a attention type of seeker, because that Navy SEAL who has successfully busted a bunch of child sex rings. Well, he went there and checked it out, and he confirmed that it was in fact like a stop, like a point where they would stop, like they would stop there before making their next trek. Guess who the mayor of Tucson, Arizona is? Well, what's his first name? I can't. It's a Rothschild. That's the point. The mayor. Sorry, that was this. I thought the stream got cut, but it was actually my battery. Like I said, the computer is tied up, and I'm kind of upset about it because I just went live right away as soon as I saw that tweet, and it's grown into a million things. I might have changed the title a little bit, but yeah. So where all this took place in Arizona, in Tucson, the mayor of Arizona is if someone could just Google it right now. I know it's a Rothschild. Jason Rothschild. Oh no, I think it begins with a J. James Rothschild. Somebody will get it. Yeah, no, they didn't cut me. They didn't cut me. What do you mean by come back? The cartel's coming back. Oh, I thought you were talking about me. Yeah, and they were, and that's why, all the police and the sheriff, they all promised the veterans on patrol that they would get a what are those dogs? A Cavalier dog, Cavalier dog, and look for dead bodies, because they did find a plane ticket, some panties. I mean, they had people out there. They went on Facebook, and it blew up. People were coming from all over the country to help, especially veterans. But a lot of people, it was just anyone was coming. But it was, really it was at first it was just veterans, because he would put it on Facebook out to the other veteran groups, and they would all come. They were digging the shovels, and they were on CMEX property, but hey, they just found what is obviously somewhere where they would keep. I mean, if you saw this, a tire was around the hole. An adult can't get in. There's no way. It's too small, and then it goes about probably 8 feet down, and then they only have a small area where they keep them. You could still, I mean, they don't care. They could probably fit 8 to 10 children. They could say it's the coyotes with families with a bunch of kids, but we know there's sex trafficking going on. And then when I found out the mayor of that city was a Rothschild. It was a Rothschild is a mayor of Tucson, Arizona, where all this crap is going on and was going on, and was it's hard to deny this stuff. I'll just look it up real quick. It's just bothering me. I want to know which Rothschild. And you know what's crazy is the people there, even the veteran on patrol, they were calling him by his first name, not by it, Rothschild, and they were like, "Nah, he's cool, he's cool." So it seems like they like him over there, but there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger. I have to type with one finger right now, the way I have to hold this from keeping it from dying. Mayor of. Oh, did it change? Oh, there's a new mayor. Maybe that's why he stepped down. Here he is. This was the mayor, former mayor of Tucson. So, look at you. So he was the 41st mayor, from 2011 to 2019. And this all happened in 2018, I believe. 2018. Yeah, I think you can still find the videos. And the Rothschild, they like to use the same names. It's actually like a huge family. I mean, they've been so successful for so long. I mean, their families have had privilege where they will usually marry, like, some of them, like, they'll marry a Bronfman, another elite. Of course, like, there's that company, the Rothschild and Bronfman and all that. We know that there was Claire Bronfman was part of the Nexium sex cult, where the Rainier, James Rainier, I know that he would, Keith Rainier, he would brand his initials, but the way they were like backwards, into these women, and he was like obviously high IQ. Anytime there's somebody who gets a bunch of people to follow them the way he did, I mean, he got not just regular women, he got elites like Claire Bronfman to follow him in this sex cult. And he, I don't know what kind of other stuff was going on. I'm sure there was some type of, because let's be honest, in this world, there's the haves and the have-nots. In the haves, there's been a lot of history that we think is the case that is not the case. Also, there are a lot of things, like, imagine that a bunch of the technological discoveries, they never shared them with us. Well, that's exactly what goes on. They share with us certain things. It just gets out. There's no way of stopping it. The internet has really changed things, both ways. It's made us more aware of what they've been doing for years. How there's always been like this ruling class, and it also has given them the ability to surveil and track us. And so, it goes both ways. So they always use the same names, like Nathan Rothschild. I know other Nathan Rothschild that was part of the whole banking scam that went on in Europe, when they tricked everybody. So yeah, I mean, but the people of Tucson, they really liked him. But I think that finding that camp and the rape tree and all that definitely probably hurt him. And maybe he didn't even try to get reelected. But yeah, he was the mayor for 8 years, 2011 to 2019. And he might have still been the mayor had it not been for the veterans on patrol. So, a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of secret knowledge. When you think about, the Freemasons, it's only really at the top degrees. There is some sacred knowledge. I've seen some of the stuff. A lot of geometry, and a lot of stuff that honestly comes down to satanic worship. Um, the Rosicrucians back in the day, the Knights Templar. There's always been this aspect of because it's one of the truest things that is like a cliche, something people always say, is knowledge is power. Very, very true. Extremely true. What did you say there? I was reading what you guys are saying. Yeah, McCain family, Hensley, and McCain married with the Hensley family. He had a wife while he was captured. And by the way, I was just telling his story to someone yesterday. His story, he was always a problem growing up, getting in a lot of trouble. His father, on the other hand, is he is Navy royalty. They have a ship named after him, but people today probably think it's named after, his son, the one who just died, McShane, or No Name, as they call him, No Name. They don't even want to say his name. There's a reason that he had, and then he got the whole state funeral, right? But there's a reason that they gave him a wrinkled flag on his, a wrinkled flag. That was on purpose. Yeah, some of it you don't want to know. Exactly, Jerry Love. And by the way, good to see you, Jerry Love. And it's really good to see you too, Brian Wilson. Haven't seen you lately. It's great to see you. I always love seeing some of the stuff that you come up. You have some great knowledge. Janet Napoleon, ex-CIA, created DHS, is Arizona Mafia. Wow. Interesting. I know, I've always said to people, Arizona, there is so much corruption in Arizona. It's unbelievable. And then in New Mexico, people don't realize there's a lot of money in New Mexico. Like Santa Fe at one point was like the number one tourist and number one I couldn't believe it, but yeah, they were number one in a lot of those categories. King family, McCain family. British Arizona to say Martha and serve their puppet governor Doug Duvet. Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, you had put it there. I missed that. Jonathan Rothschild, exactly. So yeah, it's amazing, really. All right, so back to it. Let's finish what we were doing. I kind of get off track a little bit, but that's okay. I like getting off track because that means something interesting is coming up. I'm not going to go off track for nothing. But yeah, the whole story of McCain, you can find it places. I don't want to, maybe I'll tell it, but it's a long way. It's crazy the stuff that he got away with and the stuff that he was really up to. What is going on? Why can't I get to my... Alright. Sorry about that, guys. And by the way, Tony, thank you for the heads up there. And also, I want to give a shout out to Prepper. You know who you are. I don't know if you want me to go any further than that. But Prepper, thank you. I wouldn't be live right now if it wasn't for you. Had I checked my Twitter, I would have saw it. But thank God Prepper brought that to my attention. Because I think Munda, he saw Montagraph put that out too. So for those of you who don't know, you know by the title, but at the end I'll show that again one more time. So let's continue on this. So this is where we were, and I had to show you a reference about the phones and what that means. That 21 million phones all of a sudden are off. They're not responding, which means a lot of them are dead. But I think that there's also a percentage of them that are rebelling, or they maybe trying to hide. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, when something like that goes down, you're gonna have a certain feeling towards the government. If you saw the videos, there's some bad videos. They really, the way they treat people, it's unbelievable. Now think about it though. So with all of that and what's going on right now, what does that do? End POTUS rallies? Yup. End POTUS economic, like the economy's gains? Yup. All of his gains are gone. Your 401k, all that it went up, you lost all of that. For those of you that close and you're thinking about your 401k, it's back to where it was at the beginning of the presidency. Even actually dipping below now. And then also, end of POTUS's unemployment gains. Big time. The unemployment, we have so much unemployment that the unemployment website crashed the other day. All right, so do you see? It's like, the old saying, and it's very true. Who benefits? Who benefits? Well, China probably benefits, right? But even more than China, it would be the deep state, the elites. These are the ones who really benefit. And they have had so many from they already had the insurance policy with the Pfizer's, which they also did to Cruz, by the way, just in case he won. They didn't think that he'd win the election in general. They were very surprised. Also, of course, then comes the Russia, Special Prosecutor Mueller. Think about how all of these things were nothing burgers with circumstantial evidence that was bought and paid for. And when you're with the elite, and there's, certain people in MI6 that you can buy, and there's certain surveillance because of the Patriot Act, which, by the way, the Patriot Act, that came into effect. Hey, you're stepping on the... Oh, whoops. The Patriot Act came into effect because of 9/11, right? Just tell me, I don't want to stand. So really, in the end, who really benefited? Again, the elites. It's this. We're not like China, but you know what? We're closer than you think. You got it's who benefits. So and that's what happens with something like the Patriot Act. All of a sudden, it's amazing the things that they can legally do, and what they were able to do to Trump with the Five Eyes and all that, and the Five Eyes, that would be the intelligence agencies from Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain. The fifth one always... Wait, is it Canada? It's actually 6 eyes now, though. Sixth nation joined it, and that nation is Italy. And we know that Italy elected a right-leaning leader. And now look what happened to them. Look at them. But I think that has more to do with the Vatican. I think the Vatican, just because they have their own set of laws, they weren't able to respond like they should have. And I think that got so many people visiting and traveling through. I mean, and that's another thing. Italy depends on tourism. Nobody's going to Italy, unless you're going there. Unless like you're a virologist, you are not going to Italy. So I don't know. Okay. So N to POTUS. Now on this one, A, B, C, D, and then like almost like dots, like so on. Is that like I haven't, is that what that represents? If it was just ABC, that would tell me, not it would. I don't think it would be about the media stations too like obvious. It would probably be the alphabet agency. You know what? That's probably the alphabet agencies and all the changes he's made to remove certain people in certain positions, and then there's always like a few that still remained. For instance, the head of the DIA, they had to get rid of the head of the DIA. That was very important because there's a lot of important stuff that falls under the DIA. So it was important to get rid of him and replace him with Maguire. And I'm saying him because his name's escaping me. Coates. The head of the DIA was Coates. Important to get rid of him and put in Maguire. Sure enough, literally a week later, the DIA was in the news, and what was going on at that point? Because I know they had to get rid of him on a certain date. So it was like this past summer, like August into September. What was going on? Brian, you remember when they put in Maguire for Coates? What was going on? Oh, Biden, yeah. Biden actually wrote you said that's what you just said, Brian. Yeah. Biden actually wrote it. Yeah, I was just about to, yep. Biden actually wrote the Patriot Act. And it's one of the most like comprehensive, like how it was written, how much it entails, and supposedly they wrote it in some short amount of time. That's unbelievable. It almost like it's nothing. Also, did you guys hear about what Pelosi? She's been ghost. Well, now we know what she's been up to. She just came out with this whole she's putting forth her own bill to go but it always has stuff that has nothing to do with the coronavirus. There's all kinds of stuff in there that have nothing to do with the coronavirus, including what was the one? You can register on election day. Do you realize the type of scams they can pull if you can register on election day? For those of you who are around, and I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna read maybe out loud some of the stuff Brian said, because it looks like he just kind of like dropped a lot of stuff here, put some intel. But can you imagine if they were able to do that and register on election day? The type of confusion that could cause, and how many votes would be casted that wouldn't have been casted otherwise, and the way it can be taken advantage of. And then if Q's about to point out another thing about this election, we need to make sure we protect this election. We already saw what happened in Iowa. We already saw what happened to the Democratic Party. And I hope that it's not. I hope that. And I at heart was always a liberal. As I grew older, I kind of realized there was bullshit, and I woke up. But I still believe in certain like helping people, and letting giving the poor a little help. I'm not pull yourself up by your bootstraps type of guy. No, screw that. some people just, they have you don't know what they've been through. And, and although I switched to communications, my major used to be psychology, and I understand, what happens to you in your childhood. It's what shapes you. I mean, as far as like nature versus nurture, I think it's like 1/3 nature, if that, maybe even a quarter nature. Nah, because you know what, genetic, 1/3 nature, 2/3 nurture. But that's like one of like the famous questions in psychology. How much is really what you've experienced, and how much is your genetics, as far as who you are and what you're good at and the way you think, and what mental health problems or any anything like that. But I was making a point. What was my point? Damn, what was my point? Oh, Biden, right in the, oh, Pelosi. Yeah, so, and then you guys saw, if you guys have been around a while, the video when Q came back after being gone for months, I was the only YouTube channel that got the information and actually put it out, saying he's coming back on 8KUN, and 45 minutes later, Q posted. And it was this one gentleman, Nicholas, and Nicholas came back again about 2 weeks ago to say hello, drop by, drop some good intel. Yeah, he was there for a whole show and then left again. It's kind of crazy. I'm not saying that they're watching my channel, and no, my channel. I am, I don't do it as professionally as I should, but the information's there, the knowledge is there, the authenticity and fact that you can trust me is there. Um, well, it's up to you if you can trust, but I think if you know me, just being genuine, it's and it's, you know what, it's like people like that. I think people do like a piece of knowing about their actual life, which is sometimes it gets used against me when people want to talk crap about me. There's always people like that on YouTube, but for the most part, it's good. And you hear my child in the background. You hear all, yeah. That isn't exactly the best thing, but it's real life. There's actual life going on in this house, and at the same time, I try to do this. Anyways, so I'm gonna go through. So I talked about Janet, audios of McCain. So Brian Wilson, ready? Audios of McCain doing communist. This is from the. By the way, if anyone wants to see this, go to the live chat. Brian Wilson. Amazing. This guy brings a lot of great intel. Audios of McCain doing communist Tokyo Rose. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's a good. Wow. Broadcast for communists. Is that can you find that anywhere, Brian? Now I'm gonna continue. McCain's sons are in U.S. military now. Dad and grandfather old, D.C. deep state headquarters out of their home. Wow, out of their home. Then turned into a private club. Trader McCain. Oh yeah, yep. Basically, you're saying all the things. I was gonna. He sold out. It's like right away, right? You know what I mean? Like right away. What happened? What just happened? Oh, I honestly, I thought I just got cut. Because, I get cut so many times. I always think I get cut. Yeah, but Brian, that's a really good one. The Trader McCain committed many treason, blackmailed Nixon to pardon McCain upon his return to U.S. Yes, the father did. The father made sure to do that. And you know what's funny? You know what history says? History says that all he would do is once a year he would stand and look on the, from a ship and look towards the direction in the sea where his son was and say a prayer, do something. But that's all he would do. And he was so about his business that he made no extra attempts or gave his son no special attention to try to get him. That's not true. Especially when he got back, I mean, look at the life that the guy ended up having. That's just how it goes. The only difference is his father, even though he was deep state, his father was capable of like great things. He was a great military mind. Whereas McCain is not a great military mind. Yet he did do wonders for the Muslim Brotherhood. I'll tell you that much. So California governor, deep state is ultimately tied to Arizona deep state. Yeah, it makes sense. The universities, foundations, labs, and ops on Indian reservations. And hey, that's where that site that I was talking about, where they had the hole in the ground and all that was on an Indian reservation. Deep State USA created China to what it is. Same from who created Bolsheviks and Soviet USSR. There's, I think you're trying to say Zionist KGB, or maybe you're not. Zio KGB. Biden, who brought forward already written Patriot Act. Exactly. Biden wrote the Patriot Act, by the way, before the attacks. And it's obvious. It's obvious. You ask anybody who knows about actually like writing law, they will tell you this is so comprehensive. It's just so complicated. There's so much to it that there's no way they wrote that in that short a time that they claim. There's no way. Even though they mobilized the whole country and all, it doesn't matter. There's just certain things in the Patriot Act that just to run it by the proper authorities and make sure that it's going to work out, it would just take too long. There's no way. Same after they did Oklahoma City, Biden brought forward pre-written stuff and CIA takeover FBI, etc. CIA officer Stork, director of counter espionage. Yes, Strzok. Yep, same one who's in trouble now. Biden lifetime criminal family is idiot, didn't write it. So he didn't write it? I always heard that he wrote it. So he actually contracted it to some other people. Huh. I always heard that he wrote it. I just figured I know that Biden is tied in big time, especially like Delaware, Pennsylvania, tied in big time to the organized crime and all that. The gangster family. But they're the type that don't exactly get their hands dirty. A lot of them. And what's crazy is when all of a sudden they decided to move Whitey Bulger, the Boston mobster who was working with the FBI. Well, I think he was still being protected while in jail by the FBI until a certain point when he was moved to Pennsylvania, and then Biden happened to go to Pennsylvania to, for his campaign. I'm pretty sure it was a campaign type thing. And while Biden was there, is when they got to Whitey in his cell someone got free range to him, and they did some crazy things to him. What did they do to? They like did something with his eyes and his tongue. They did some crazy shit. He was like unrecognizable after what they did to him. Whitey Bulger in his cell. He had it coming. He had it coming. I mean, he would have done the same to somebody else. But the difference is he wasn't born with a silver spoon. Nah, he was more like a street guy. Although he was born a little bit with a little bit of privilege, like you can tell because you know it because his brother ended up being the president of UMass and then a state senator, but a state senator, not a U.S. senator. So even though they were in Southie, I think that they came from a family that had money, and I think that maybe his parents just messed up or something and ended up in Southie, and back when Southie was Southie. It's different now. All those neighborhoods are different now. University of California Board of Regents. Look up who's been on that. Okay, so University of California Board of Regents. Okay, I will. Lawrence Livermore Nuclear Lab. Rush Patent 8/10/2001. Oh, Lawrence Livermore. You know what? This is some good stuff. Laser ignition. DLD, DOE. Navy, NNSC. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know that. Wow, huh? Laser ignition? I have to look into that. So, Lawrence. Alright, thank you, Brian. 37 trillion on going into it, 5 billion straight out of Treasury. Yep. And the day before, what was it? I think that the press figured out there was X amount of dollars missing. How many trillion was it? Was it 37 trillion? And all the records were at the Pentagon. And that's exactly where this plane that somehow vaporized it. There was no sign of a plane afterwards or video. The Pentagon was the weirdest one to me. And it happened to hit right there where they were keeping all kinds of vital records about that. Was it 37? I thought it was 30. I thought it was 32 trillion, but yeah, 37, something like that. So 37 trillion. Wow. And Rumsfeld was on that, and all of them, that whole cabinet. I think Bush's father literally put together his cabinet. And there's even rumors that Bush was going to do a certain thing. And Bush Sr. came in, made some changes, and then all of a sudden this thing happened. I've heard things like that too. Let's be honest, it was Bush Sr. and Cheney that were really running the country, along with the elites, of course. I mean, they always have a big piece. Yes, it was illegal to hide the audios, but we're falsely filed in National Archives. McCain and Kerry pushed, withhold, sealed all military vet records of everyone to hide deep state crimes and their treason. Yeah, Kerry's, by the way, Kerry's another one of those, because we've been talking about Skull and Bones lately. Kerry was big on the Skull and Bones front. He was, Yale elite in the Skull and Bones. His real naval record is different than the stories you hear. Unfortunately, I bet you even JFK, because JFK had some amazing stories from World War II
him and some of his shipmates, survived on an island for like a wicked long time, and it was amazing, JFK's story. But you know what? Knowing who his father was, Big Joe, uh, Big Joe was, I mean, when it came to like the Irish mob, like the Italian mafia respected him, and you go back to like if you guys saw like the Irishman, they keep referencing Joe Kennedy. I think they call him like the big guy or the father, and that whole thing with what's his name, the guy they never found, um, you know, who the whole movie was about. Weibo was a huge threat to his old partners. Yeah, he was. And oh, by the way, now you know how Burisma's Burisma's Raytheon. Hold on, I gotta start. Yeah, you have, Jerry. You have. That's why every time I see you. Let's see. Of course, most things entering Congress, Senate are written by others, corporations, lawyers, contracted by an idiot. Yeah, he is an idiot, and now he has Alzheimer's. So I don't know how he could ever be president. Like, I just things are so odd right now. The fact that was and it was like it was a setup. Everybody that's been campaigning all this time decides to drop out of the race right before Super Tuesday. Why not just stay in for Super Tuesday? No, because they had a plan. They all drop out, and then basically, they had a feeling. They're like, well, of everyone that's voting for the Democratic Party, it's probably like 2/3, want, they don't want to go that socialism route. They don't want to go too far left. The word police, the stuff going on in the colleges, they're sick of that, and they know it's a bad look, and they don't want that. And then there's 1/3 who would want that, and they would want Bernie as well. And so I think they just knew that was the case. But I'm just surprised they picked Biden, and everybody dropped out. I mean, if everyone dropped out and Biden dropped out, but instead someone like Amy Klobuchar stayed, I think she could have won, right? Actually, didn't Biden say that he's gonna make a female his vice president? Yeah. So. Yeah, Pentagon budget. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Still continuing missing from Trump. All right, I'll check it out. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. So, guys, people watching this right now, all that's in the live chat. It's basically like a intel dump. Great intel dump there by one of our regulars, and anytime I see him, he's dropping knowledge. All right, so there, that's what we have. We have the A, B, C, D. So basically, okay, the weekend prior to president election. Yes, yes, absolutely. Everything the president's done is now weakened. Due to this, and he really is, I believe, I could be totally wrong, looking out for this country right now, and but he's also, there's a plan, so he also has to make that happen, and I think some of these executive orders are heading in that direction, and you know what's crazy? Every executive order, you look it up in Strong's Concordance, and this is how you know that Jewish people run the world. You look up in Strong's, it has to be the Hebrew, not Greek, Hebrew. Look it up, just put for instance, there was one that just came out, I think, I thought I knew 1452, I think, or 1451, something like that. You put that in, boom, it matches exactly what it is. It's something that the newest EO is something about. It's like basically about people hoarding, but it also expands once you get down to like subject like the section C, and it says people can't do certain. I think it's a way to stop a certain way that people can kind of rob the market, and that's in there. And then when you look up what it means, that's exactly. It says basically an end to like a abundance of wealth. That's every single time. It's exactly. It sounds so crazy. If you guys don't know what it is, Strong's Concordance. I'm telling you, when you hear an EO, put that 4-digit number in there. If there's a 2-digit, like this one was 50, and then the 4-digit number. The 50 was it represented the father of something like abundance of everything, like of riches, and you have it all. Well, that's like hoarding, right? That's what the first thing mentioned in this EO is hoarding. And people think toilet paper, but there's more behind this once you keep looking at it. Further down, it starts talking about, it's something where I could see it being like some kind of scam on the market, I think. I could be wrong, but once you look at Strong's Concordance, at just like the actual what it is, it just basically says the end to, I wrote the whole thing, but I don't want to show the person's name because it's a close friend and I don't have their permission. Damn, that might be another show. But I'll tell you this, it made perfect sense. Blew my mind. Every single time it blows my mind. When you have something like that, you put it in a Strong's Concordance, and it means, it shows you that there's more going on. Like, the fact that the 4-digit number will always come, it can come out to anything. It can say anything. Like that in Virginia, they were trying to pass that law or act or whatever it was, where they could, what they were doing, they were doing legalese. They were trying to make it so that they could late abortions, even after birth abortions. But one of the big things they were trying to do is, once you allow that after birth abortion in legalese, that means that it takes away from human rights, because instead of being a human with unalienable rights, even though the certain deep state try to say, oh, he messed up, he meant to say inalienable with an I instead of a U, which is all BS, by the way. It's unalienable rights, and but it's funny that they try to do that to history, and they're trying to do this legalese where, well, because of this, they wouldn't have that, because the mother makes this decision while they're drugged up, by the way, and they say the baby, there's something wrong with it, but when you look at how they define it, that could mean something as simple as the mother was using some drugs, which happens all the time. It's actually common here in Massachusetts, where these poor kids have to these babies, these infants, have to stay in the hospital for like a month, 6 weeks, and detox everything that went in their system. Whether it be street drugs or even methadone or Suboxone, the treatments, they have to still detox from the treatment. Even if you take anti-anxiety medication, which that's very common and needed for a lot of people, they have to do that. They have to wean them off that too. So there's a lot of situations like that, and these infants should have rights right away. Now, the abortion, the Bible says one thing, it's just like it's one of those things where like it puts you in a tough spot. But one thing I'm for sure on is you're pregnant by a certain time. And, I understand maybe allow a tiny bit of time for a decision. I hope you decide to keep it, but because, one of the first things to actually form is the nervous system. So they do feel it. They always bury that in the science. But anyways, it's all about legalese. That thing in Virginia. It was all about legalese to try to make it so that based on the viability, and that can mean anything. That can mean that the mother just doesn't want it. All of a sudden, it's not viable. You know what I mean? Like, it could be so many different things. So, basically, that would make it so that all of a sudden, it doesn't have the human rights that infant should, because once it's born here in the U.S., all of a sudden it's more just flesh as far as the law goes. And I know this is a very difficult topic, but hey, this is the reality, and this is the enemy we're up against. This is the type of stuff they want. All right, abortion's not enough. No, they want to be able to see the child and take them out. And when you're talking about like spirit, like we know that well, you might not believe it, but because I've said it many times, there's many different ways that they can communicate with these entities, okay, the old ones and all that, right? And there's probably, they say that in the Bible it says that the ones who will be saved all have the seal of God. I may be wording that wrong, but like a seal of God. You're already predetermined. Even though we have free will, which really confuses me a little bit. I've always had like a problem with that. Like, well, if you have the seal of God and they can't touch you, during that period, then what about free will if it's already, if your name's already in the book, is it destiny or free will? You know what I mean? Like, which is it? Or both? I don't know, but I guess it's beyond our understanding. Sorry, it's kind of like a little bit of a rant there. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so they're definitely weakening Trump prior to this election, as you were saying. Delay U.S.-China trade negotiations. Yep. Basically, the question for all of these is, by the CV Charlie Victor 19, the virus, right? Does it do these things? The answer is yes to everything. Shelter Biden public appearances. Yeah. The other day on Twitter, you know what was trending? Where is Joe? It's like, Bernie Sanders is out there, hair flying around. He's like, we gotta do this about the virus, and $1,000 isn't enough. It has to be $2,000, and $2,000 in Manhattan isn't the same as $2,000 in Mississippi. We need to make things more. It's universal. I mean, at least he's out there with ideas, right? Biden is nowhere to be found, and he is the nominee. Democrats. And I would normally favor the Democrat up until 2012. And especially in 2016 is when I'm just like, I mean, I've learned so much going up like 2014, 2015, 2016. Started learning so much about what they were really up to. I mean, I knew it before that. Didn't know if I didn't like believe it with my whole heart. Now I know it. Like, it's not even a question. Because I understand it better with the technology, certain technology they're using, and really how widespread it is. All right, so push. Also, so shelter Biden debates. Yes. I wonder how that's gonna go. That's gonna be wow. Push new revised P for president 2020 and vote by mail, or even worse. I don't think there's no way this would ever happen because of what happened in Iowa. But hey, as long as George Soros is around, anything is possible. But vote by app. All right, vote by electronic website. I mean, people think this virus is just gonna go away. Listen, chances are we are still about 30 days from the peak. Maybe even a little bit like 35 days from the peak. Because I remember, I saw some raw science from many different scientists, and they predicted, they were like, it's going to be in about 45 days, it's going to peak. And the numbers are still flying up, right? Can't say I'm not right on that. So far, I mean, until I see that until they have enough test kits where they can just test everybody, figure out where the virus is, figure out who has the virus, instead of just waiting for people to get sick. Because guess what? Like I said before, well, until they have symptoms, they don't know it. And if they're young, they might not even get symptoms, and they're just getting everyone sick. That's why you have to do mass testing. You have to test everybody. Now, if it was the vaccine stuff, that worries me. That scares me. Anything like that worries me. And then right here we got Tom Fitton. If you guys don't know him, this guy's amazing. He's done so much. Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. So it looks like, so on March 10th, he says, voter fraud is a key civil rights issue. Who stands for voters who have their votes stolen? How many stolen votes is too many? Stepping up. Now, they did find a bunch of stolen votes, except they were the other way than what the media portrayed. It seemed like a bunch of votes were kind of stolen, but no, it was actually stolen from Trump. And then you can steal votes just, by making it so the person never gets to vote. I just messed that up. Making it so the person never gets to vote, or literally changing their vote. There's so many things you can do. You guys saw what happened in Iowa. Bernie won. They didn't want that. They didn't want that momentum. So they gave it to the Buttigieg, thinking, and he dropped the ball. He couldn't do it. And plus, he's not, and that never made sense to me either. Just like the whole, he's gay, and it'll be the first, what would they call the husband? And that's kind of mean to say. I don't want to be mean to gay people. I'd be best friends with a gay guy. I don't care. I'm just saying, as far as electability, when you look at the country, it's just not going to happen. I don't know, man. I think Tulsi Gabbard, he's not one of theirs. She's not one of theirs. Otherwise, she'd be an awesome candidate. If they actually pumped her up, put some money behind her. Great story. beautiful woman, kind-hearted, you know, wants to end the wars. That's the problem. You know, she's not like owned. So push Democratic wish list unrelated items for the CV bill. Voting amends. Now this came out before Pelosi. So this was already out, and then Pelosi came out with what he's talking about, the little wish list, the things they want to add to this bill, to the COVID bill. They want to add all the stuff that has nothing to do with Charlie Victor. Nothing to do with it. And they're, like it says, unrelated items for the Charlie Victor bill. And voting amends. And what did I tell you guys? They want to make it so you can register on the day, on election day. And I've already proved to you guys when I went down. I didn't even finish that story earlier. That's what I forgot earlier. Because I started telling you guys how I was the first person who told you. This channel was the first place where you find out Q was coming back and where. But right before that, there was, living here in Massachusetts, everyone, a lot of people are Democrats and very liberal, very far left, and that's fine. I used to be liberal, but a different definition of liberal than what liberal is now. More like now Bill Maher, the stuff that he does, I've heard that he's done behind the scenes. Yeah, no, not that type, but what he tries to come off as was almost kind of like the way I thought when I was younger. And then you kind of realize reality. But anyway, so there was this guy there, and I said, listen, my wife needs to vote. I was like making up a story, and I said, but she doesn't have her ID. I was like, I don't want to have to go spend all that money right now. And he was like, oh, you don't need it. I was like, oh, all right. I was like, should I just bring it with me when I, go to vote? I mean, not me, but should she bring it with? So does she bring it with her when she votes? And he goes, no. Really, it was a loophole where you could register without an ID. And then as long as you show up to vote, and he goes, so I was like, so you don't need an ID to vote. I shocked him. I was just like, oh, so basically you don't need an ID to vote. That's interesting. And he kind of realized, I think, and he was just like, yeah, well, I mean, no, well, it doesn't matter because you need to register. I said, yeah, but I just registered her with you. So without an ID, what do you mean? Like, he goes, yeah, but you have to be in the system. They'd have to match it to. It was all BS. Literally, it shows how illegals can vote. You can do it so easy. All you have to do is go. You have to know the name of somebody that is an American citizen. And you just have to go and say you're that person, know their information, and that's it. It just has to be somebody that isn't going to go vote. And, you can look at voting records. There's so many different ways where you can just tell, like, this person just doesn't care to vote. And there's a lot of people like that, most people. So, there's many ways that you can mess with the system, and all of a sudden, that's a one way an illegals vote. Somebody who really knows what they're doing. I just figured it out on the fly. So, and now they want to do it with the day of. You can register and vote the same day. Yeah, right. If that goes through, Anyway, so families and businesses need help now to survive. Oh, so all right, so Q did put this out after. Oh no, wait, did you? I don't know if she actually put it out yet. Cause didn't she just put it out this morning? But I think this came before that. I don't know. It was probably already known or something like that. Anyway, so this is Tom Cotton. If you guys don't know, Senator Tom Cotton. He's a veteran. He's a lot of people like him. Some people don't like him. Different reasons. Families and businesses need help now, and how true is that? I mean, I think of all these people I know that, that's all they do. They work. They got a family, and, their whole family has it good. But they're just a good, honorable man. They just work. And they're not exactly going out or anything. They just work, and that's it. And now they're just home. And they don't know what to do with themselves, and they got no money. You got stir crazy kids. Adults going stir crazy. But Speaker Pelosi walked away from you have to survive the China virus pandemic. But Speaker Pelosi walked away from negotiations to write her own bill, full of absurd provisions completely unrelated to the crisis at hand. Here's what Speaker Pelosi is demanding while Americans suffer. Corporate pay statistics by race. Wow. Imagine that. Corporate pay statistics by race and race statistics for all corporate boards at companies receiving assistance. That is unbelievable. Imagine like something like that was actually the case. I mean, sometimes, hey, it might be just one certain race, like black people who are the best, who just happen to be the best for it, or Asians, or whites, or whatever it is. And I do think it's important to have some diverse, but to make it a mandate, it goes against what this country represents. At least what I thought it represented. That freedom aspect. People forget about the freedom. Well, the illusion of freedom. Bailing out all current debt of postal office. And I saw that too, and I was wondering, why the postal office? What do they got going with the postal office? So it seems like they're in bed with the USPS. Well, if this virus is so bad, and they say, oh yeah, you know what? We tried the app, which, by the way, the number one donor was George Soros. We tried the app in Iowa. That went bad. If we try to do it online, it can be hacked. We're going to have to do old paper ballots and mail them. What a coincidence. Who is she trying to bail out? The Postal Service. So I'm telling you, folks, beware. It's kind of like, I'm surprised. It's like spelled out for us right there. All right, you do that. You bail out the Postal Service. Guess what? They don't just do that for pick that one particular thing and not get anything in return. Certain way this works. That's crazy. So it's right there in our face. They're gonna try to. The virus is gonna get worse. It's timed perfectly. No rallies. All that stuff we talked about. And then imagine we have to stop mailing in the votes. When the Democrats in particular fight while Americans, they fight for this, while Americans are legit stuck in their house with nothing, no help yet, not even having correct testing yet, and that's what's going to happen. Bail out the Postal Service. And then all of a sudden, some funny stuff's going to happen with the mail. Look at this. Required early voting. Required early voting. How does that work? Certain types of... so many... I don't understand. Required early voting. It's all about voting. Required... This is what I was talking about. Required same-day voter registration. That's what I was talking about. You could go and register and vote in the same day. You don't think that they can cook up some ideas on how to, there's always ways to game the system. And if you can do it on that day, guess what? Then that vote goes in and that's it. It doesn't matter even if they figure out how you did it later. You can't. It's going to be hard to keep count of how many times that happened, and I don't know who they actually voted for. It's supposed to be confidential for each person, right? So, $10,000 bailout for student loans. Hey, I'll say something. That would help me. That last one would help me. But I understand the criticism. Is it really fair for the people who every month, instead of living, they could, that could go towards a much better car or a much better anything, but they have to pay their student loan, so they pay it. I do understand that. But I do also think that there's some people who need help with that. The student loan thing, how much it costs for an education is just bonkers. And the whole way the loan is set, I think it's wrong anyway. I don't like it. So there's certain things where I don't care about, have any problem with that. For companies accepting assistance, 1/3 of board members must be chosen by workers. See, I can see how some of this stuff can really start causing trouble. Provisions on official time for union collective bargaining. I mean, look at all this stuff. This is just supposed to be a bill. All of this, if they really want to try to pass some of this stuff, do it on another bill. And you know what? That's what Mnuchin said to, am I saying Mnuchin said to them, the Treasury Secretary. He said, you know what? Listen, do 2 bills. Do all this other crap on another bill. And right now, we just need to help these Americans. That's it. Help these people. Get them some money. Full offset of airline emissions by 2025. Now you got the whole green agenda in there too. Greenhouse gas statistics for individual flights. What? What about their private jets? Retirement plans for community newspaper employees. $15 minimum wage at companies receiving assistance. I mean, this is everything. Permanent paid leave at companies receiving assistance. The Democrats see an opportunity in this crisis. Well, isn't that the formula? Not to help the American people, but to hold an emergency relief bill hostage until they get their radical wish list. How long will Arkansas and American... Oh, he must... Because he's an Arkansas senator. And Americans across the country have to wait. Well... Yeah, that's a bad look. That's a bad look. I would love to hear what the... I haven't watched I don't watch much of the mainstream media, but sometimes I'm just curious, like, how are they gonna spin this? Like, how are you gonna try to spell it? How are they gonna try to sell it? But yet they always, I'm always, you know, they always find a way that to spin it. A lot of times very unsuccessful. It's things that don't even make sense. What is the mathematical probability this occurs? The time bomb explodes at the exact point in time that allows for maximum damage above prior to the presidential election. Wow. So all this, what is the mathematical probability? It's it's basically almost definite. Outside of standard deviation, yes, absolutely. Who benefit if he has standard deviations? It's like a formula you can figure out with statistics. It's used in a lot of different things. Like it's even used in like polling and things like that. I just took a statistics class last semester. So, who benefits the most? Mueller failed. Impeachment failed. Why was it critically important impeachment be rushed in the House? And I always wondered that too. I was like, they rushed it so like it's such a big deal, like, you know. And then and that's where they should have done. By the way, had if they wanted to call these witnesses, that is where it is done. You know, that's how it's always been done. In the House is where you have the witnesses. But they rushed it through so quick. Schiff hid a bunch of stuff from everybody. You know, it's like, it's unbelievable what went on. MSM and the Democratic Party and the Hollywood narratives failed. All this stuff failed. The coup failed. Democratic Party leading nominee established Super Tuesday, that represents the Super T, prior to lockdown takeover. Right, D Party leading nominee established. Yes, because you know why? They systematically dropped out and left it. Do you want, socialism or not? That was the vote they left you Democrats with. How do you feel about that? I'm surprised they did it. I can't imagine Democrats like really getting behind this guy. No, I mean, it's so obvious what's going on. Sanders eliminated Biden front. Occam's razor simply states that of any given set of explanations from an event occurring, the simplest one is most likely the correct one. And I think that basically just kind of sums up everything he's talking about here. This was done. This wasn't even done by China. This, by the way, this was printed in the American Society for Microbiology. So if the elites have all these resources and they try so many ways to take them down, nothing's working, Media isn't even working. No one's trusting the media anymore. You know? Do you? You know? Could you kill? They potentially could kill like 10 birds with one stone. Basically, that's what my show, part 1 of the intel drop, that's what it's all about. I show you two sides of a coin. How it could have been deep state, New World Order type stuff with the elites taking over, and it just be haves and have-nots, because of all the technology and the economy be gone. The new economy would be all like a cryptocurrency and but more so the blockchain. They'd be using the blockchain. It wouldn't be like Bitcoin. Some people think it's going to be Libra, that Facebook coin. I don't think so, but a lot of people do think that. Prevent Democratic Party destruction by any means necessary. These people are sick. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. And here's what he's referring to. No voter ID to get a ballot. And anonymous ballot harvesting. Why is that hidden in Speaker Pelosi's coronavirus bill? These are issues that shouldn't be addressed at this time. Hashtag single issue bills. Wow, so she has that ballot harvesting in there? And no voter ID to get a ballot? She's trying to put this all in the coronavirus. While people are, it just shows. You want to try to figure out who's really evil? They try to make Trump out to be like this, evil man. You want to know who's really evil? Look at the facts here. Look at what's actually going on. They are holding this up. Why? To do ridiculous stuff like this. And unless you're one of those people well, beat Trump, hey, we gotta play dirty. What? You out of your mind? If an individual state is eligible to cast a whole vote in an election for federal office, the state may impose any additional conditions or requirements on eligibility of the individual to cast the vote in such election by absentee ballot by mail, including requiring any form of identification as a condition of obtaining the absentee ballot. Any form. Any like a food stamp card. On the food stamps, they get a card with their picture on it. And every illegal immigrant got one. That would be good for voting. I should have retweeted that. Shoot. Wow. I can't believe that one. Let's see. I keep screwing up. Okay. Alright, and last but really only the beginning, to be honest with you. We're going to click on this, but just think. The key that opens all doors. The start. So, hey, I think things are about to get crazy. Check it out. Oh, I already showed you guys this. I had this open before, but Spygate could make Watergate look like a third-rate burglary. There's only one thing I disagree with is could. It will. Okay? Trust me. It will. The Spygate scandal is shaping up to be the most significant political abuse of government power in history. You hear that? And it may be even larger than people expect. And it is. And what I've been telling you guys, the bulldog, Durham out of Connecticut. He's gonna be the guy. You can't with the other guy there who was appointed by Obama, but he was playing ball. The Inspector General Horowitz, he came with his report, a lot of damning stuff, and he found that just from looking in the records, which a lot of stuff is hidden from the record, obviously. And if he said, hey, I want to talk to you, you'd say, no, I don't have to talk to you. And that would be true. I don't want to perjure myself, and no. With Durham, you have to talk to him. And you can perjure yourself. Same thing with Barr, same thing with... these are the people who can be trusted. So the investigation by U.S. Attorney John Durham into the origins of the FBI's Russian collusion investigation, or as President Trump prefers to call it, the witch hunt, continues to expand. Durham reportedly opened criminal investigations last fall. Oh, nice. So pretty. That's so pretty. Yeah. That's so pretty. Yeah. Oh, hey, you know what? We'll play the game. You want to play the game? Let me just finish this and then we'll play. Okay? Alright. Alright, guys, so, let's see. So, Durham reportedly opened criminal investigations last fall. And, Olivia, it's icky in here. Can you go out there? Go, Mama. I'm almost done, I promise. This is the last one. I promise. But anyways, I know this by heart, but I just want to see if there's any more information. So, the FISA process. Philly, can you have it? I'm done. Like, come on, we're getting Philly. This is literally the last thing I'm going over. Oh, man.
Alright, good. I'm going to be right there. I need to leave it. I'm going to look and play for a second, and I'm going to go to the bathroom after I do whatever the hell she's doing right now. I'm coming, Olivia. I'm coming. Well, you know what? We have,
I don't know.
An orange one and like a lit up one.
It was my last thing.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I know.
What?
Can you give me a cigarette if you're taking my lighter? Here. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys.
Matt.
What? We'll finish this.
Oh, I'm like, what?
No.
Alright, because...
Alright, so... So we all know about the FISA, the process, how they abused it, the what's it called? The MI6 guy, the report that it was the only actual real, what's his name? Comey, the whole thing, he based it all on, oh my God, why can't I think right now? I'm telling you, that accident, really, like, it's like, I have my same, like, wits, but things escape me, especially, like, thinking of names. The report, I'm gonna have to check. I know somebody put it. Yeah. Thanks. I can finish it up real quick. I just want to give you guys an idea. Like, because this seems to be significant. The way Q says that, it seems to be significant. And then, he even mentions the investigation by attorney into the origins. Durham is looking into questionable activities of other government agencies. CIA. Take out the I, because they're not dealing with intelligence over there. And I mean intelligence, like, you know, actual, like, like, gathering information. No. They're just corrupt crooks. Whereas, like, NSA is really actually dealing with intelligence. I mean, with the Patriot Act, yeah, they're surveilling the hell out of us, but, you know, at least I know that they can recover some of this information and kind of have a play-by-play of what Obama actually set in motion. Obama set all of this in motion. They think what Nixon did was bad. History is going to look at Obama way worse. Trust me. They gave him the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009. And then he went, then really, when you look at his presidency, you know, he had that drone, all that would just go all around Pakistan, well, more than one, but all around Pakistan, and have a kill list and just kill people. But supposedly, no human knew who was on the kill list. I mean, I guess they must have been dealing with a type of AI where, you know, they know who the enemy is, and the drone just takes them out when it has the opportunity. And it took them out. But I don't believe that part where no human knew. That's bullshit. They have to be, in order for them to do something, they have to be given the initiative by a human. And that, whatever it is, algorithm, code, has to be written in. So somebody knew. So in particular, so it even says, in particular, the CIA and its former director, John Brennan, all the people that, I mean, you know, for years, Q has been telling us, I've known for years, ever since my first show, I was talking about all these characters. We all know the characters. The widening scope involves not only agencies being investigated, but who is being targeted and why. Earlier last week, Cheryl Atkinson reported that, based on her sources in the intelligence and law enforcement communities, the authorizations to spy on Trump functionaries such as Carter Page, who is going to be rich very soon with the lawsuits, or former campaign manager Paul Manafort, who might get a get out of jail free card, were actually pretexts for a much more expansive web of surveillance that could include anyone in contact with Page. This is what we call, you know, when they get a FISA warrant. Anyone that they come in contact with is fair game. And the one of the things that most people don't know is that they didn't just do it to Trump. They can't say, well, we really thought because of, oh, by the way, the name was Steele. That's, now it just came to me. Of course. The Steele, you know, the Steele dossier. Oh, because of the Steele dossier, we really thought it, so we did get the FISA, and we did believe it at the beginning. Yeah, but then they renewed it a bunch of times. I forget if it was 3 or 4 or 5 times, something like that. They kept on renewing it. And it got to the point where it you know, there's evidence that they knew. And everyone who signed that is screwed. Including Rod Rosenstein and, you know, McCabe, Comey, all of them. And then Strzok, he's screwed. and the lovebirds. They're all screwed, but it even goes beyond that. So they're talking about like low level. Like we know this. This is all the Pfizer stuff. This is known. But you know what? The general public doesn't really know it. They don't understand it. How it was done through the Pfizer and then Five Eyes. So you actually had British intelligence doing this. You know, because what are we going to use? The New Zealand intelligence? Yeah, of course it was the British intelligence. But, you know, Australia was aware. New Zealand was aware. There is also the matter of President Obama finalizing rules in the thing Obama did in the final days. The money to Pakistan, not to Pakistan, he's extremely anti-Israel, very pro-Muslim, a certain type of Muslim. I'm sorry, I can't even think. Why am I? The Palestinians gave them boat. He sent crazy amount of money to the Palestinians and the Iranians, as we know. In the closing days, the administration that opened the raw, unedited information feeds collected by the National Security Agency to all 16 other agencies, known agencies in the intelligence community. Add that up. How many intelligence agencies is that? 17. The ill-considered and unnecessary rule change vastly expanded the potential for abuse in the system and was a curious move for Obama to make in the waning days of his presidency. Exactly. So, finalizing rules. Let's see exactly. They were thinking to prevent Trump. So they made it easier for NSA to share information with other agencies. Basically, he set it up so that it was like that famous quote, the intelligence agencies can screw you so many ways to Sunday or whatever. Well, he made it so basically, let me see. Alright, so this ties in the whirlwind of unmaskings during the 2016-2017 transition period, which includes, of course, like WikiLeaks, things like that, and then Q. Names of people. I'd like to see Julian Assange be able to come back. He's an American hero. Inadvertently caught up in the expansive web, which ordinarily would be classified, their privacy interests protected, were revealed and information sent to Democratic allies. Oh, and I'd like to see them get to the bottom of, we all know who killed Seth Rich. I mean, it was actually, I think, MS-13. But who gave the order? We all know. And she lost. They never thought she'd lose. Judicial Watch, and that's, by the way, we saw Tom Fitton earlier. That's him. Judicial Watch has chronicled how Obama's United Nations ambassador Samantha Power and NSA advisor Susan Rice, among others, colluded in this effort to bolster the insurance policy. You see that? Just in case Trump won. Cover our ass, and we got him. Well, just open investigation after investigation. And leave little breadcrumbs where it looks like they have a good reason to do these investigations. And all these Democrats fell for it. There is also the matter of President Obama finalizing. We already said that. However, it makes perfect sense if you believe that Obama officials were doing their utmost to put in place a bureaucratic infrastructure seeking to undermine the Trump administration before it began. Exactly. Also, factor in the distrust of NSA head, you know who, the guy who made this all happen, the reason they got the server, the reason they got everything. Because, guys, I can't even say, but the NSA has everything. They're the ones. And thank God we had Admiral Rogers there. I mean, he might be the big... He might be like the... If this all goes down the way I hope, outside of Trump, he's the number 2. Like, I mean, just the things that he did early on made it so that Trump could expose it all eventually. You know, another one. When you think of what's it, General Flynn. You know, and the way they got him, you know, they always get you through, like, they ask you questions and stuff, and they set you up for perjury, get you on that at least, and then they try to get more out of you. And then what happened was his son got in trouble. I don't know if he actually did get in trouble or they kind of set him up to get in trouble, but then he's in a position where he has to protect his son. But he found a way to do both. He found a way to protect his son and his country as a general. And he was supposed to be the head of is it the National Security Advisor, I believe? Yeah, I think so. Who met with President-elect Trump in November 2016 and allegedly blew the whistle on Trump Tower wiretapping. Wow. So probably right after he got elected, he was like, all right, you know, let me get this information to him. And they have it all. Essentially, Obama's rule change took Rogers out of the equation and gave, so that was, okay. And gave, I wasn't too clear on that, and gave other agency heads. I knew, I had an idea, was trying to get what NSA had to the CIA so they could do what they do and cover it up and, you know, taint it. Like Brennan and former DNI, of course, James Clapper, he's another one, yep. The freedom to spread around whatever information the NFL, when I say another one, I mean another one going down along with Brennan. The information on NSA. So this is all stuff that we know. But you know what? This is a really important article to like get out to the public. Hold on one second. I'm gonna end the show like this because honestly, this is a good article. But at my Twitter, instead of Red Pill Dispensary, it's I've always been Red Pill News Dispensary. I just changed it just because I thought it would make it easier to find me. It's just more simple. So I'm gonna tweet this out, but first. This is basically how the whole Q thing started. Was all of this information being revealed from Admiral Rogers. So red pill your family and friends. I think it's important we all do that. I know a lot of us have family and friends that don't believe, they just think we're crazy. Red pill your family and friends with that. I'll tweet that. And with that, it's the red pill. By the way, Twitter, the Red Pill News Dispenser. But for YouTube purposes. This is the Red Pill Dispensary. I'll see you guys later. Stay frosty.